Hey everyone, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today I'm going to teach you how to install the intake sponges. Now, if you haven't seen our other videos on how to hot rod your filtration, make sure you check that out. It'll be at the end, maybe it'll be at a pop-up, those types of things, but people are into this step being the hardest step, and that is, if you have a hole that's different than this size, how do you adapt it? Well, stay tuned and we'll show you how. Alright, so we've got some parts here. We've got an AquaClear 70 hang-on back filter with uplift tube. We've got, I think this is an Emperor 400 or a Penguin square tube. It's square here, and usually there'd be a big basket on it. I've already gotten rid of that. This is still wet because it was on one of my tanks. And then I've got a Fluval intake for a canister filter. So easy enough, this one fits right away, right? So we've got a hole here, all we have to do is put it in, just like that. Now, let's zoom in on here. You can see how I'm not putting in very far. That's the first mistake I watch people make. You don't want it to go all the way to the bottom. We want water to be drawn into this whole thing evenly. If I shove this down to the bottom, way down in there, it's only going to draw water from down here. And all of this up above is useless, so we want it in just far enough that it'll get held. Now, that's really easy. It fits the strainer and all that, but what happens if your next one, what you really want to do, you'll say you want to put it on here, and it's a little bit loose. You see that? Or loose, right? That's not going to get a good suction going. What you can do is you can kind of put it on your tank and it'll pinch to the side, and it's okay. But really what we want to do is we want to make it so it's a snug fit and it doesn't do this. So what we can do, we can use some tubing and create a gasket. So this right here happens to be 1 1/4 inches outer diameter. I bought this at my local hardware store for I think $2 or $3, and this piece was in the scrap bin and it was 25 cents. So we're going to show you both of those. But so you bring your part with you, and you go to the hardware store, and then you figure out what piece is going to fit. And basically this 1 1/4 is what's going to fit over this once I get it hot. So let me go get some boiling water, and we're going to use a cup here, that's why it's mugs here. Boiling water, we're going to dip this piece of tubing in there, and it's going to get really pliable, and we can put it around here, this, and I'll show you how it makes a grommet. So stay tuned. Alright. I'm back. I've got boiled water in here. Use an instant kettle or a microwave, whatever you want to do. You can use scissors. I've got these PVC cutters. Makes my life a little easier. You want to cut a fairly decent sized chunk. I'd say like 1 inch or so. The skinnier you make it, the easier it is to get on there, but the less grip it has. So I made a piece like this, and you can kind of get it into the right position again, but really you just want to get it nice and warm, and it's going to get more pliable. So you just hold it in there, and it's going to be hot, so careful. If I was smart, I'd have like some aquascaping tongs right here, and I would dunk the whole thing in, but definitely get more pliable here. And what you want to do is you just want to get it over the piece of tubing here, or the intake. And so you just heard it snap into place there, and we're just going to put it on. Now the biggest thing, I've done this a million times at the store I've worked at, when you're pushing this on, it's really easy to slip, and this plastic will just take the skin right off your knuckles, so be very careful. And just keep working it slowly. You can always warm it up again if you need to. We could put it right back in here, get it nice and hot, so it'll be really malleable or pliable. Malleable, I think that's the right word, malleable. And you just keep working at it, and keep in mind it's boiling water, so it's hot, but it gets easier the warmer it is. Alright, so now what we've done, we've increased the diameter of this, yeah? Now, it's a snugger fit, but it's still a little bit loose. So what we might want to do is put another piece on there. And this is the next diameter up. That's why I bought both of them, right? So I'm going to cut off a skinnier piece this time. Something like this. Hopefully these will cut it. Scissors would have been better for this part. So a smaller ring. We're going to get that in the water, start getting it to be more pliable. And if you weren't doing this on video, you could let this sit in here for like 5 minutes and it'd be really, really, really pliable. But it's always a time crunch when you're on camera, right? So let's see if I can get that to go around this one. This is the harder part where you sometimes will hurt yourself. And you gotta get it to go over this other ring. Oh, we're there. Good. So now you just gotta pull it down. Get it on there. So now we've got a much bigger diameter. Yes? Now you can't put it in easily. You gotta work it in there a little bit. But now that it's not going anywhere. But yet you can pull it right off again. So it's made the diameter big enough so it'll hold it. And this is what I've been talking about when you guys have been asking me in email. I'm like, you need to make a gasket, a grommet. That's exactly what we need to do. So now you can install this into your filter, and it's good to go. It's never going to come off. A fish can hit it. You know, goldfish, big fish, whatever it is, it's not really going to come off. They'd have to really hit it hard, and eventually it would come off. And that's what you want. You want it to be able to come off, but you want all that friction fit there. And so now you're thinking, well, yeah, but mine's not round. Well, we can do it with a square one as well. Let's see, I think this one's going to be too short right off the get-go. I didn't bring this one with me to the store, so I'm hoping, yep, looks like this one's going to fit. So what do I got to do? This time I'm going to do it the opposite. I'm just going to put this one in there and let it get nice and pliable. Then I'm going to cut it. And the important part is you can do this for any size of sponge, any intake. If I needed to get that big intake, like let's say I was missing this part, I could get other tubing. Like clearly this tubing is too big for this one. But like if I grab some tubing over here, there's some Eheim tubing. I bet you this Eheim tubing, I could get that hot enough and get that onto there. And then this tubing would fit into here. You know, you got to play with it a little bit. It looks like I need one more step in between there, but you can adapt anything with the right tubing. And it just takes a quick trip to the hardware store. And once you own a few of these, like I used to have all these in my fish room before I moved, you just go, oh, I'm going to need this piece, this piece, and this piece. And you can see here how 1 foot of this is literally going to make it so I could make like 20 or 30 of these. So it's not hard. So we're going to cut a piece off here. Oh, don't do that. And just gonna cut that last little bit. So now, I'm gonna get this to be a little more wieldy. We just gotta get this to fit right into here. So it's not perfect. You could work with it and get it hotter. It's not. You can see there's a little bit of gap. It's not absolutely perfect, but I'll tell you what, it works pretty good. And when you start looking at it like that, that's pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. And you've got something that's never going to fall off. And we've adapted. Now I could work with it. I could shove a little bit more down in there, but it's not going to matter. Water's going to take the path of least resistance. It's going to come in from down here, only if this ever got clogged. And that brings up a good point. When you guys see, some of you that have seen the other video, they say, this is going to get clogged. This is a very, very coarse sponge. So it's never, I won't say never going to clog, but you'd have to really neglect it or have only one filter for way too big of an aquarium, that type of thing. It is made not to clog. That being said, you want it like this so it's barely on there. If you cram this thing down to the bottom, it's going to get clogged up because it's going to try and pull all the waste right through this bottom. So you want it just on enough. And a lot of people ask me, could I make it smaller? You could. I don't know why you'd want to, but you could cut this in half and only use this much if you're really worried about those looks. But that is how you can adapt an intake sponge, and they come in different sizes, that type of thing, to any intake. And so there you go. It's as easy as making that right there. And if your diameter is slightly bigger, slightly smaller, I know for instance for the FX6, you're going to need this bigger diameter piece. I think it's 1.5 inches to go around the diameter of that. And boom, you're done. It'll hold on there. You can take the basket off. And so it's either A, the basket holds, or B, the grommet will hold it. So hopefully that explains it. I know not everyone's in this video, but for the people that need to know that, that's amazing for them. It makes it so much easier, and you're going to love it. If you're not using intakes already, whew, I don't know how you're living in this life, because I feel like I can't live without them ever. If I'm going to use a hang-on back or a canister, gotta have a pre-filter. Works so well. I know a lot of you've used fine poured ones, you'd had bad experience. Try a coarse one. It's life-changing, I promise you. So hopefully that helped. That's probably why you're watching this video, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Otherwise, check out our other videos, and we'll see you in the next one.